Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
We are
Barely.
back. Hi. So
I'm poorly. I'm not well, but in the full what's the thing? My head's gone. But you know the consistency. I won't stop. I won't not record. So
yeah.
here I am recording, even though I feel like absolute ass. So apologies.
I think it's I'll just put my headphones on so that I don't you're so loud. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, can you?
Great. Yeah. No, so today, and I say we're gonna this is the show, and you're like you say you're obsessed with consistency. So with that being short of having, I don't really know, we've currently had many things that have cropped up in your life and still here.
It's chaotic, isn't it? It's because Chloe's home from Australia. When Chloe comes home, it throws me a pot because I'm just like, I don't get to. She's never here, obviously, and I don't get to see her. So when she's home, it puts me all over. So I've had loads of different things going on. But yeah, I did a 6-hour journey yesterday. I feel like absolute crap, and I've woke up just not feeling right at all. So, but I didn't want to cancel because I don't want to have a gap. I haven't had a gap in over a year. It'll be over a year now, won't it?
No, it's not over a year yet.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm definite. But it's close.
Well,
I think we're about 46.
Oh, wait. Okay.
But no, you're quite like, yeah, and you're right. And I've noticed that it is actually, you just said then, it is actually always when Chloe's down.
Yeah, Chloe causes chaos. But luckily for you, she won't be back to the UK for like 3-4 years now.
Oh, really?
So she's been back. Yeah, she's been back like 3 times in the last year because she had the baby. Then she come home for the Christmas. Then she's come home for the christening and the baby's birthday, and then she won't be back. So
are you going to go over there?
Yeah, I'm going over at Christmas.
Because there's no way that you're going to go 3 years without seeing that baby.
No way. So I'm going over at Christmas, but she won't be back here, so won't be as chaotic. And I just have holidays left, right, and centre. But
well, that is like the joke of it is because obviously our appointment was supposed we have our like normal appointment on a Monday, and I came in and I started making my dinner, and Freddie went to me, "Haven't you got Carla's day?" I went, "Oh no, she's not." And then she went, "Is she still on holiday?" I was like, "No."
I just booked another one as well, you know.
I said, "She's not really." She said, "Well, where is she?" I went, "Oh, she's in Wales." And she went, "Well, that's all." She was like, "She's always away."
I know, and I've just booked another one as well for end of July.
Where are you going?
Santorini.
Oh, it's great there. You've been there before.
I know. Yeah, I love it. It's the only place.
Last year?
No, it was during COVID we went. 2020 it was.
Wow.
Keo got me for my 30th. Yeah, Keo got me for my 30th. So we went in the July.
Wow.
For like 3 years ago.
That feels crazy. I remember you guys going. So that's mad. I didn't realize it was that quick. Wow. So
but yeah.
Today we're just going to be we're moving on from continuing on the lessons from an old employer part 2. Because you know that one did quite well, and also you were very inspired. Obviously, you're not exactly in the right frame of mind today, so it's going to be a great one.
No, well, this one's going to be all the negatives, and I'm in a very negative frame of mind, so I'll probably roll with it. It'll be amazing. No, but there was like obviously there's a lot. To be honest, I could probably do 10-part video on this, like, and I couldn't. I probably will at some point come back to it. I think I'll do this one, and then I'll do some more, and then go back because
leave it in the list.
Yeah, like you do learn so much from old employers, whether it's good or bad. But either way, even if it's bad lessons, you use it to not be like that. So it's still good. Do you know what I mean? As long as you take from it. And like, I mean, to start, I'll just start. But there's so many things, even from when I first started as an apprentice, in a business that was just, I was just doing admin. I just left college. I hated, I'd loved school, absolutely loved school, loved learning. I went to college and I couldn't stand it. I don't know whether it was just because it was so, like, I felt overwhelmed, or whether I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I felt a lot of pressure to sort of like make decisions on what I was doing, and I just couldn't decide what I wanted to do. So I was just like, right, well, I'm just going to start earning money. I always wanted to earn, like, I enjoyed earning money. So I did an apprenticeship in accounts. And the place, it was like when I did it, which was bloody 15 years ago, they just placed you anywhere. I don't know whether that still happens now, but like I was doing an accounts apprenticeship, and I literally got placed with this mum and daughter business that ran like a business centre, and I just did their like, you know, like the post and the clerical like admin type duties, making teas, like doing just general bits.
Yeah.
Didn't do any account stuff, but anyway, they were absolutely evil. They were horrible to me, horrible. Like, and I mean like nasty. Used to make comments all the time about the way I looked, like everything I did, they put down, even when I like did things that I didn't have to do when I'd done it off my own back. They'd be like, why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing that. And it was just, I remember feeling like I don't quit stuff.
Anything.
Like I'll hug it out. And I remember going home and saying to my mum, like crying, and my mum and being like, I really, really don't want to go. And my mum was furious, like when I was telling her what they were saying and what they were doing. And obviously that's as horrible as that was, and it was a really bad experience. It's been amazing for me and my on the other side of it, because like I would never ever do that to Millie. Do you know what I mean? I've got a son at the door. 1 second.
That's okay, no worries. We get to have a lovely look at your house. And the wires on the side. Just noticed the wires.
Package.
I said we get to have a lovely look at your house. And then I just realised, and then the massive wires on the side that I thought that was some sort of design at first, and I was like, oh no, it's just wires.
God knows what's going on in there. I don't know, but I've just been told they're going to get boxed. But like I would hate to ever treat an employee the way that they treated me. So I learned, even though it's horrible, it was a really bad experience, I learned a lot from them. I learned to always respect. Doesn't matter how old they are, what the job role is. Everyone should be treated exactly the same in terms of, you know, the opportunities they get given, the way they're spoken to. Like in our office, bloody hell, like Meg makes more coffees than Millie. Like, it's not like, whereas when I was an apprentice, it was just no one else ever made, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there is, but it's like, I would never, I knew that I was one who did all that because I had to, not because I wanted to. And I would hate to feel as if I was pushing that onto somebody else. Being the main thing for me that I've took from other employers that I think's really, really bad is bullshitting people. Just don't bullshit people, because if you've got good staff and good staff who are honest and good staff who want to work for you and who want to put everything into what they're doing for you and to help build your business, if you bullshit them type of people, this is going to sound really bad, but if they're worth having, they're going to see through the bullshit anyway. Yeah. Like, that's just my opinion on it. Like, if you've got someone who isn't that arsed whether you're bullshitting them or not, then they can't be that good of employees anyway, because anyone who's switched on enough would click to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you would see through it. And I've always, whenever I've had managers, and they have always been men who do it majority of the time with the bullshit. Like my first employees ones, they were horrible, but at least they were very straight about how horrible they were.
They were horrible, but they knew it.
I mean, they just put it out there straight to my face. It wasn't like behind closed doors, whereas like when I've had other jobs, and it's coincidentally been men, they sort of make it out as if what they're doing is good for you, and if you work, you know, if you do this and you do that, then you're going to get this and you're going to get that. It's going to be amazing for you, and look at what we're going to be able to do for you and your opportunities and the name you're going to get for yourself. And I was so naive to believe that that was what was happening, and that it was me who was going to get the praise, and it was me who was going to get, you know, look at all the hard work I'd put in. That isn't what happens at all. It's the people above you that get it. People above you who get the bonuses, and people above you who get the praise, and you're known as the person who just works there. And like, especially with money and things, you need to always, for me, and you were one of them, weren't you? Told me not to be, like, you didn't agree with how honest I was being at the beginning, like, and I was being, when I was like, with my staff, I was like,
with your staff, I said that, yeah.
This is how much is going to come in. This is how much I'm going to take. This is how much is going to be put here. This is how much is going to be put there. And you're like, you're being far too, what's the word, transparent. Like, you can't. But I just, I've got, because of how I've been treated in the past with other workplaces, I've got a bit of an obsession with making sure I'm being honest to that. If you don't like something, that's absolutely fine. But one thing you can't say about me is that I've tried to screw you over, or I've tried to hide something from you, or I've tried to keep a certain fact from you. Anything you want to know, ask me and I'll tell you. And that's how I like it to be. I like them to know that. I like my staff to know that they've got complete trust in me, even if they don't agree with me or they don't like what I'm doing. Then that's like, I'm not expecting that they're always going to agree with it, but they know that what I'm telling them is the truth. It's not smoke and mirrors or trying to get round, certain ways by bullshitting and making out as if it's, you're earning more than you're going to, or you're going to get certain places. I'll just say how it is.
I know that one of the things that comes up a lot, Craig Skelton, one of my clients, he used to say all the time that his biggest pet hate was this 6-figure thing that everyone would throw around, this idea of 6 figures. You're going to be a new advisor. Let's say like Meg coming in, and he'd be like, he said, I don't understand why this idea of 6 figures is thrown around. And he said, why are we even talking about figures? He said, like, it's as a mortgage advisor. He's like, it's tough. He said, it's a terrible 2 years. He said, but over time, you'll do what you've seen it as in having a mortgage advisor, how very different it is to insurance, is that it's a grind and a slog and a slow burner. And he said, and there's so many people, and it's true, who are like going, oh, come on, you come with us, guys. Come and work with us. You'll make $100,000 a year. And you're like, no, you won't. No, you won't. Like you're gonna make probably minimum wage for more work for like 2 years.
Oh my God, I hope Meg watches this one, because honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't that bullshitty, but I genuinely didn't realise how much work went into being a mortgage advisor until I've seen Meg do it. And I'm like, yeah, like it'll be this and it'll be this and it'll be that. And then literally she's been with me now like 18 months, I think it is. And oh my God, the work she has to put in. And it will, don't get me wrong, mortgage business
pays off.
Once you've done it for, like, you've been consistent, you've done what you need to do for a long time.
5-year thing. Like once you're 5 years in, like, realistically, it's way more. So mortgage business is way safer than insurance, because once you're up and running, the hardest bit is that first kind of 2 years, very tough. First year is very hard, like near impossible. Second year is very hard, but then it starts to get a bit easier, third and fourth. And by the time you're 5 years in, you've got quite a nice pace, and it will start to work.
But that's probably, if I'm being totally honest, that's the way I let myself down when I started taking on staff, that I would learn from myself for the future, is don't think that everyone can do what you do. And like they can't. And I came from, probably, everyone comes from different backgrounds and has different experiences, and you think that you're going to be so much better because you've learned how to not do this and not do that and don't do this. But in reality, a lot of the time it comes down to what type of person they are. So like when you first start and you're like, oh, it's so easy, you just do this and you do that and you just keep doing it, and then they're like, oh, like, but they can't, like, people can't do the pace that you do. It's not that simple. And it's, I've had staff where they're like, this is really hard, and I find it really difficult to stay consistent. I'm like, but just stay consistent. And you and Keo and like Emmy are like, yeah, like you're not wired like everyone else, like, so like, but that's my fault. Like, as an employer, that is 100% something I'd be taken from me as myself, to be like, stop thinking everyone's like you, because they're not. Like, you have to treat every single person individual. And I remember, and that's something, to be honest, I blindsided, like, from previous employers. You used to get like, I've always worked in like sales service type environments, and a lot of sales type ways to do things is rah, get everyone in a room. You do this, you say this, and you've got to think. And I remember sitting loads of times in all different types of industries I've worked in, thinking, like, looking at someone who's trying to motivate people, and thinking, you're never ever going to be able, unless you've got people who are coming, like, to go to Tony Robbins, who are all like-minded, who are paying to be there and be motivated in that way because they know it works for them. You sat in a room full of people that you're trying to motivate, and you may as well be talking a different language, because you're probably only going to tune in and really motivate one or two people in that room, because everyone thinks differently. Everyone gets turned on by things differently. So like what I might find really motivating, other people might find really cringing. And it's like trying to treat like a shepherd and a sheep type thing.
It's a hard
And
one.
it doesn't always work. And
It
sometimes
reminds me of I'm like that. As in me and my mum, I see my mum once a week, and a lot of my stuff we talk about just falls on deaf ears because I'm like, Mr. Health, do this, you could do this, you could, and yeah, and I can see as you say like that, I'll come back and I love my mum, we're very close, but I'll say, Freddie will go, how'd you guys said, brilliant, wicked, but she definitely didn't understand a word I was saying.
yeah,
because it is, as you say, because
it's
not a motivating trigger to her. She's not interested in, she's interested in what I'm doing, but she's not like, she's interested because she's my mother. But when I'm like, well, you can lose weight, you could change this, you could do this, your diet could change. She's like, cool.
Not
and
asked.
it is like Tony, yeah. And she's like, and she, you know, and that's like, as you say, that's exactly that. It's the same concept, just on larger scales. When you're in environments where someone has, and I see this a lot with bosses. I know you've had people in the past of this, and I've worked with people in the past of this, and I think you could be guilty for this, and I definitely know I could. Is that, as you say, thinking you've been Tony Robbins, now everyone in the protection parent, we're going to do the miracle morning, we're going to bounce on the trampoline, we're going to do everything, and it's not like, I remember having that with Freddie, like where like I wanted Freddie to make content, we could build other stuff, and then it hit me, and I was like, maybe she just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, and it is hard. It is really hard. But I know from past employers that there's no worse than trying to create a cult. Do not do it. Do not do it, because you are going to lose it. You are. You can't do it. Like, not everyone thinks the same way, and you will do it for a while. You will get into people, and people will be, you know, like, what's the word, like, possessed by it for a bit, and they'll eat into it. But eventually reality kicks in, and people will start to click on, and it doesn't work. So like, I can sit all day long and say to my staff, do the miracle morning, do the miracle morning. I know Meg's done it, I know Becca's done it, and the pair of them absolutely love it. Don't think the others have done it and found much success with it. And I'm not sitting there saying you need to. I will say to them, I think you should, because I think it'll be good to try, but it might not work for you. Everyone's different. Whereas when you try to create an environment where it's like we all sing by the same hymn sheet and everyone has to do this and everyone has to do that, yeah, it might work for a bit, but it ain't going to work for long, because not everyone wants to nod the head.
That's me and you, though. Like, I'd say me and you are that, because we worked together a long time, got to know each other a long time. Is that when we first worked together, it's like, come and dance to the beat of my drum. You know, let me show you how I do it. We now we're very different in lots of ways, but also very similar in lots of ways. And it's that way of how we work to how, like, I know there's things that I do and you'll be like, what the hell? I know you do all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and the same vice versa. But it's that respect of knowing it. And that comes from that respect. And that's you and me. We've both matured as this has gone on, of going like, okay, we can have the same goal, but get there in different routes. And I think that's what makes you a good boss.
Manage your staff. Not even staff. I've learned it from other employers, but manage people the way you would want to be managed, not the way you want everyone to act. There's a very big difference. So like, the way I want all my staff to act is very different to how they are. Obviously, if I could have all my staff working exactly like me, I would not be living with wires like that. I would be on a massive ship, my own cruise around the Bahamas, working from my laptop. Like, it's every single person is wired differently, and try to get to what your staff want. So like, some staff want to earn loads of money, some staff want to have loads of freedom, some staff want to have an easy life, and they don't want either or. They just want to be able to go to work, do the bare minimum and leave. And there's nothing wrong with that, because each of those different personalities and different pillars of people create what you need. But it's, don't try and change people. Try and like work out what they want and try and get them to get where they need to be, doing it the way they want to do it. Like, and just be there to help them and guide them. And obviously, sometimes you're going to have people who aren't going to be fit for it. They're just not. They're not. But you can't strike people off because they're not doing it the way you want to do it. You know, like, that's just not the way it is. And then like, using like trying to manipulate people into believing that it's because they aren't right or they don't have the right mindset. Like, you know, Keo has a completely different mindset to me. Keo thinks I'm an absolute freak because of the way I go on with my positive mindset, and I'm like, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, and he looks at me and he's like, no, you don't. I don't think that there's anything wrong with Keo. I just know that Keo thinks differently to the way I do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like
completely.
that's not a bad thing. But when you try and create an army of people or a team of people that you getting them to think a certain way, act a certain way, behave a certain way, like, it isn't sustainable. It really isn't. And you need to get to know your staff, have respect for your staff, and treat them the way you would like to be treated. I think if you do that, from any lesson I've ever learned from anyone, if you treat people the way you'd like to be treated, I don't think you can go too wrong. You are gonna come up with people who don't give a shit and they've got no respect and they'll take the piss, but then deal with that and move on and get rid. But in between, on most cases, you're gonna get people who respect you back, who appreciate your honesty, who want to work hard, who want to do well for themselves, and who be able to build their own foundation under your help, which is what you want. You want people who want to build something for themselves. They don't want to build it for you. They want to build it for themselves. Nobody wants to build someone else up. They want to build themselves up. And in the meantime, it benefits the business. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the main thing I've learned from, if I had to sum up the worst things I've went through in terms of business and working for people, it's that. It's been feeling like you've been took advantage of because you've bought into the bullshit, and I just won't have any bullshit in my business.
But I think that's a really good way of doing it. You know, I think the way you've approached it, and I think that, as you say, the lessons just you started this episode off, like, you know, the bad things are the things that also make you good in the future. They make you've got to know what you don't like. And sometimes the easiest thing is to try and be. I was watching a video on this, and he said, don't try and, you know, create something. Just try and just list all the things that you don't like, and then you'll find the thing you need to do. You know, so if it's like, I don't like that, then it's easier to make okay, I don't like it when people are not transparent. Okay, then we need to be transparent. It's kind of that. It's easier to find what you should be doing when you start to eliminate the things you don't want to do. And those are things from experience, you know, as you say. And oftentimes, I don't know about you, my experience has been when things seem too good to be true, they often are. That's what I've found with work. My experience with bosses has been like, when someone's saying we can do this thing in 8 weeks, or we can, you know, I can promise you the world. That my favorite one is people who like build businesses underneath their own businesses, and then they're like, you know, and they go, oh, well, you know, you can stay with us and we'll just keep you here and we'll just keep going, end up going, well, there's no money to be made. So it gets to the point where it's like, when it's confusing, as you say, when it's not transparent, when it's very confusing as to how people get paid and how it works and where the times are, it starts to, I think it is a recipe for disaster long term. It might feel great at the beginning, but it never really works out in the end.
That lady who runs Clout, she put she's big on LinkedIn. Like, I think she's amazing, the posts and stuff she does. And she put one out a couple of months ago, and it, you know, when something sticks in your head, and she said it was stop telling your staff that you are a family. You are not a family. You work together and you pay them to be there. If you are a family, they shouldn't be getting paid, and they will do it out of love. Stop trying to use that to manipulate people. And I thought, wow, it's so true. Like, no one's a family. I'm sorry. And if you're being told you're part of a family, run for the hills, because you're not. If you're a family, you don't get paid. Like, my kids aren't getting paid to be my kids, and I'm not getting paid to be their mum and dad. Like,
that's a big lesson. I learned that your clients are not your friends. Now, no, me and you got very close and we are friends. What I mean is, a lesson I've learned is that some of them will become friends, as you have with yours. There'll be clients over time, they do become friends.
Yeah.
But the vast majority, I remember the lesson that's a big one of like lessons you learn from clients, really, is this idea of like, oh, okay, we're really, you know, we're friends with this, with that. And then all of a sudden it's like, and then they're like, oh yeah, no, we don't like anymore because this person said they can do a better job. And then you're like, well, and then you go, oh, wait a minute, we were friends. And like, we were just clients. And it is, as you say, that's That's a big old lesson. I remember having that like with that a few times, especially when you first, I'm not now, gosh, I'm quite good, but like when you first start out, that's the naivety of it, of like,
yeah, it's naivety, and that's like, you know, when these, like I said a couple of weeks ago on my post with it, I'm doing these episodes. I know, I hope people who've been in the industry a long time will get something from it, but I'm not naive to think that it's probably going to fall on people who are not as experienced and have something there where they can, you know, like when I started, I wish I'd known half the things that I talk about on
yes,
here from somebody else, because I didn't have anywhere to speak to. I didn't have anyone to believe. And I was told things and genuinely believed they were true because I didn't have anyone to ask, because the only people I knew within the industry were the people who were telling me the lies. So I don't ever want, I would hate to think that there was anybody else sat in a business or sat doing a job that they think is okay, and their little spidey senses are clicking away at them going, that doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel right, but thinking, who do I speak to, because I don't know anyone to speak to about it. Like, feel free to message me, and I will, obviously, I'm not trying to say I'm starting like some sort of charity for like
yeah,
abuse
I know
protection
what you mean,
advisors,
yeah.
but it's like just something where, do you think this is right? What do you think of this? Like, and feeling like you're not going to ask someone that's going to come back and smack you in the face for it. Like, I'm totally indifferent and not attached to anyone. But I think, like, in terms of like finishing up on this episode, like my part and thing for people who are listening would be to, if something doesn't feel right, and if it feels as if your gut's telling you that you don't think it's the right thing for you, forget the business, but for you as a person, then you need to look elsewhere and do something about it, because all of this type of stuff's temporary, none of it's permanent, but the damage that can be done will be permanent. So if you feel like you're not somewhere where you're getting the best out of yourself, where you don't feel like you're enjoying what you're doing, where you feel as if you're being manipulated or you're being taken advantage of, or you're not 100% confident in yourself anymore, then get out of there, do something else, because work is not the be all and end all. It's what you're gaining from it and what you can take from it. So just make sure that you're always putting yourself first. And if you're not happy, then do something about it.
I think you're so right. Sometimes I think with that, and we'll end it there, but I think I don't know about you. This is something, and I never spoke about this before actually, but I'm sure everyone feels the same. I feel like whenever something big, you get to a point where you need to quit, leave, whatever, as in regards to like quitting to do a new job, do a direction, you think, what will my life be like after it? Like, oh my gosh, I'm losing everything. And what's really weird, and something that has helped me, that excites I have to go, I felt this way when I quit performing arts to move into state agency, and I felt this way quitting a state agency to move into mortgages. Like, and 6 months down the line, like nothing changed. Like it was like you back into a normal routine. But it can feel like when you're in it and you're about to leave and you're about to say you're not happy, you can feel like your entire world is ending. And it's really not. As you said, it's just a job, and it's just a boss, and there's going to be other bosses, and there's going to be other networks, and there's going to be other clients, and it's not a big deal. Like in the long run, it's very, very minute. Think about me and you working together, like when you went self-employed, like on your own, how like you now speaking to like how terrified you were and how this won't work, and it's like you probably now think, well, I can't believe I was worried about it.
Yeah, but you do though, because it's a massive thing. Yeah, but in reality, in the big scheme of things, it's not. At the end of the day, the main thing is your health and your family and your sanity. So if you're doing something that doesn't make you happy, then you need to get out and change it and do something else. And I always like to, every decision I make, I try to think, what's the worst outcome that's going to happen here? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? So when I left and started my own, when I started the Protection Parent, worst case scenario, I was going to have to go back to being an advisor somewhere else. So I'm not going to be any worse off than I am right now, but I'd rather regret something I've tried than regret not trying at all. So
love it. Very, very good. We will see you all next week.